Park. Start the meeting.
All right. Ready, welcome to our regular scheduled November 5th meeting of Parks and Leisure Services Commission. And at this time, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Amy.
All right, please stand. Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Director, roll call please.
Chair Duncan,
Here.
Vice Chair Uresti,
Here.
Commissioner Daly,
Here.
Commissioner Firamonte. See you on there. Commissioner Graybill. All right. Commissioner Garola. Did we lose him?
He's there.
He's on there. Perfect. And
Commissioner Pommier. Here. All
Commissioner
right.
We
We got Commissioner Firamonte, we got you there. Yes, I'm here. Perfect. All right.
Item number 4, commission reorganization. At this time, we will open up the floor to nominations for new chair for the Parks and Leisure Services Commission. And I would like to nominate Janet Evans.
So if we,
have anyone else that's interested in the chair, that nominates someone for the chair, this will be the time to do it. We either do this every year or every 2 years, but the chair, Duncan, requested that we go ahead and just open it up after this last year that we've been on there, just to see if anyone else was interested. So we're still entertaining any more motions for chairperson. Right now we have Vice Chair Uresti on the floor.
Are there any other nominations? Is that everybody on the screen?
Yes. We're good on that, so we can call for a vote on
All right, do we need a second on
that. Yes.
that? Yeah, okay. We
I'll
have a
second
motion
that.
on the floor. We have a second. Commissioner Daly, any comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Chair Urezi. Shall I turn it over to her before we do vice?
Sure, we can do
Okay.
that.
So at this time, I will turn the meeting over to our new chair, Janet Urezi.
Okay, well, thank you. Do we have a nomination for the vice chair?
nominate Philip Duncan.
Being that I was just chair, if somebody else would like to volunteer, I would be perfectly all right with that. Tom Firamonte? I believe you said that you've not been on long enough to feel comfortable doing so? Who else do we have out there? Diane Graybell? That's a yes? Okay, I can't,
She's the only one.
We're working on volume.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. See what happens when I turn my volume up.
We can barely hear you guys that are on Zoom, but I think we'll listen closely. So far we have Commissioner now Duncan on the floor, so we.
Till now.
First and a second,
On
on
that,
that, we can at least call for a vote, but if there's no other motions, it doesn't look like last chance. So,
All right,
do we have a,
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm getting used to this, but.
So that passes. We're getting feedback, sorry about that. We're working on it.
I'm trying, I'm sorry.
We're gonna have Fernando check it out right now.
We'll just listen, so we can hear them. We can barely hear them.
Okay.
That's going to be either that or our feedback.
Oh, that's the one.
Right. We need all of them off for me to turn this one on. All sound, yeah.
Microphones? So do I mute myself?
Not your microphone, but your sound.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Fernando's gonna come in and check it out.
Bear with us 1 second here. 3-minute break to try to figure this one out.
Give me a test over there, Donnie.
Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Test, test.
Do I turn this thing?
Should be.
Is that better?
Yeah. I think the only reason why it's doing that is there a mic that you have on?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
This is off, my computer sound is off.
Would this one?
I have no idea how this is
But I can't.
The only way to do that would be to turn that down and the box over there.
I'm pretty sure that you're gonna have a mic on there, which means that when you're close to this and that at the same time, you can transfer the same thing to that.
I'll keep this one off. Yeah.
Can
All right,
you-
testing 1, 2, 3. I guess we'll give it a shot again.
We need somebody on Zoom to talk for us. Ask Jason, will you ask Jason?
How about,
No.
Jason, can you say
Commissioner Palmier,
something?
can you just say hello for a second?
Right.
No, still not.
Jason, can you say something?
Which one?
Again.
Something's really fast.
Okay, so we did hear him.
Let's try it. Hello, hello. Staff still getting feedback. We haven't found the magic touch. You guys on Zoom are either very, very faint to us or we're getting an echo on our end. Haven't found the combination here.
We're live on YouTube.
My only guess would be that the mics on either the devices that you might be using could be,
But I'm muted.
She's the only one with the device right now.
and you're muted on that one.
That one was on.
No,
Oh. Gotcha. So,
that's first.
this is X. Yeah.
Go ahead and talk to that mic.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello. So, commissioners on Zoom, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? No, they can't hear me. You're still working on that?
Go ahead and try it again.
All right, testing 1, 2, 3.
You're muted on Zoom.
He did that.
no. Thumbs up if you can hear me, commissioners, on Zoom? Oh, yeah, he can? Commissioner Firamonte, can you hear me? Okay,
So what's going on is, you have to be muted on yours.
Okay.
The actual Zoom account.
okay,
Because what's gonna be being picked up is these mics that are in the chambers.
okay.
And it's just, the only thing is that it's gonna look like it's you talking or your account talking. But they'll be able to hear you.
Is there any way to get their Zoom volume up a little bit more, or no?
Not their Zoom volume up, but, that's just something that they're gonna have to do on their own. That way they-
Okay. We'll just listen. Okay. Sounds good.
That should be it. As far as you hearing them, or the whole chambers to hear, would just be
That way.
that way. So yeah, I don't know if you wanna do a sound test.
Is that gonna test you? 1, 2, 3, test? That's, okay. All right, we'll go for this. This is probably as good as it's gonna get tonight. So, we are on the report section. Chair Uresti, you ready to go?
Okay, so are there any oral communications from the public?
You're muted.
I'm muted, of course I am.
I'm not sure, is that how that works? Does she need to unmute herself on Zoom?
Well, we'll see.
Probably.
Okay.
All right.
Oh. So turn on your microphone and talk into that microphone. Like, just push it and just get it close to your mouth and they should be able to hear you.
All right, Mr. Moore, do we have any oral communications from the public?
We do not.
Can we get a motion for the approval of the minutes from August 11th? Did everybody get a chance to review those?
So moved as presented.
All right, can we get a second?
Second?
All right. Motion I'm sorry, I'm new at this whole thing. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Aye.
motion passes. All right, do we have any correspondence?
There's no correspondence tonight.
Okay, can we move on to the report section?
Yes, and Kathy Capone had requested a while back to give a brief update on her work out at the Tule River Parkway with their association, and there's a couple grants, one currently that she's doing. So she didn't give me an indication that she wasn't going to attend tonight. So we'll probably just put her back on the agenda for our next meeting. So we'll skip that item for tonight.
All right, can we get the report on council actions, please?
Yes, since our last meeting, the items that have gone before the city council from August 18th through November 3rd. The first was authorization to renew the agreement between the city of Porterville and the Tulare County Sheriff's Office Work Alternative Program. And that's something that we've had a collaboration with the county on for many, many years. And we just needed to renew that agreement, so City Council authorized renewal. And what that does is it provides the non-violent offenders that are sentenced by judges the opportunity to perform community service rather than jail time. And so they do a lot of things out in our parks to assist our full-time staff. Next item was authorization to negotiate a contract renewal with 2X Promotions for the OHV Park Management Services. And that was something that is in the second year of a contract with 2X Promotions. This is their second year running the OHV Park, which you'll see in an upcoming report that our numbers have been very good. Staff has been very happy with them. And the commission has recommended 2X Promotions to continue that. And so that one was approved, and a new contract was agreed upon with 2X Promotions. Next up was the authorization to augment contract budget for Murray Park Pool exterior shade structure. What happened with the installers out there was they ran into a lot of huge boulders when they started digging to put in the footings for the shade structure of the poles. So we had to go back to city council to authorize an additional $5,250, which they approved. And you'll see the results of that tonight in one of the reports. Next up was a resolution approving the application for state OHV vehicle grant funds. So this is our annual grant with the state to keep the doors open out at the OHV park. This is a ground operations grant, and it's something that the city staff has been successful on for many, many years, and was successful once again at obtaining the full amount that the city requested. So that grant award was awarded, and we're continuing the operations out there. Two more. One of them, authorization to purchase Main Street Christmas decor. So every year around Christmas time, when you're driving down Main Street, there's 6 of the overhead garlands between Morton and Olive, and the ones that we did have were about to not make it up anymore to be hung. They're just tattered and weathered, and so we got authorization to replace those. And then the final reports were from the OHV Park and the golf course for the first quarter, covering this current fiscal year, 2020-2021, for the months of July, August, and September. Within your agenda material, you should have received those reports, which I think you can probably pull those up in front of you. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. But as you can see, we really had some good play at the golf course, especially if you compare the numbers. Ever since COVID has hit, there hasn't been very many things for people to do, and that's one of the things that has been allowed to be open. And so the numbers have been off the charts, really exceptional. Now you can see them up on your screen. We're sharing those. So you can compare those and see the amount of increase for play for all 3 of those months have been significant, which is great. And then the OHV Park also, to compare last year's numbers, we didn't have an operator during those 3 months last year, so there wasn't any numbers to compare. But I did put in the numbers from the year before that, and you can see once again that the ridership has tremendously increased. And we give all the credit to the new operator out there, who's a local guy who, as I've said before, he runs a lot of major sanctioned races all over. Actually, he assists all over the country. And so if you look at the numbers, you can see down below, it says July 4,345. That was from 2018. So if you compare it to that, our July numbers are up a little bit. Our August numbers increased even more, and then our September numbers were even higher percentage-wise. So very happy with those 2 facilities, which again, 2 of the rare facilities that have been able to continue being open, because largely in part they're outside, easily to keep people distanced, and the OHV, of course, they have all their safety equipment on, so they're covered up. So that concludes all the reports. Be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
All right, are there any questions from any commissioners? We good? Okay, all right, can we move on to scheduled matters, please?
All right, thank you. The first scheduled matter tonight is a military banner program. This is something that, as you all are aware, every year this program has grown by leaps and bounds, which has been very exciting for us to see. Nothing but positive comments throughout the community, and we're happy to have this program fall under our department. At this time, we've actually, we're going to be doing 2 different things. One of them is we thought it was time to establish a formal policy, and so we included that in your agenda packet tonight. We were just going to touch on a couple things on that, not go over the whole thing, but this is a draft format, so we'd be happy to, if there's any input, if you've had a chance to review that and have any comments. Like I said, this is just something in a draft format that we'd be happy to receive some input on tonight, if you have any. And if you can always request to carry the item onto our next meeting if you need to and desire to look at it a little bit more. And then the second item we were going to talk about was as far as the locations go, that we're going to need some input on, some recommendation on where the next set of banners is going to go. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but the first thing regarding just establishing some policy and procedures, as it is right now, when the public comes in to purchase a new banner to honor someone, there's a few things that we've told them, and there hasn't really been any formal policy. And our program's grown so big that one of the main things that we would like to do, if the commission thinks it's a good idea and recommends, would be to establish some sort of an ad hoc committee with one of their main functions being every year, right around this Veterans Day time period, would be to assess these banners, because some of them now have been up for about 5 years. And just as a flag is, we want to make sure that these banners maintain their integrity. And you can see some of the locations are more exposed to the weather than others, just due to the placement. And so establishing an ad hoc committee would be something that we'd recommend. So one of their main functions would be to do like a windshield type survey and go around and assess these banners every year and give recommendation on the ones that are looking like they need to be replaced. And when that time hasn't come yet, and so we're predicting that after this next year, some of them right now are on the borderline of looking a little bit worn out. And so that would be something that we would need to contact those ones that the banners do need to come down, and the property would belong to those people. We would give them the banners, contact them, and then at that time they'd have the option of purchasing a new banner, which would go up in the same place as their current banner is. And then, and if for some reason that they choose not to at that time, then that particular banner location would be vacant, potentially could be filled by someone else. So there's a few things that we've been up to this point very accommodating as far as trying to take as many special requests for locations as possible, and even moving some banners after they've been up a year or so to try to accommodate them closer to someone else that they know that the following year's banner has gone up and things like that. This program has grown to the point now where that's another thing that we're recommending, is that once these banners go up, that they're up in that same location. They're for several reasons, and so that's something else that we're adding into this policy. Again, up for discussion and for the commission's recommendation. And as you can see for yourself, there's some other things in there as far as the specifications go, the pricing, which fluctuates depending on our local. Axiom Graphics is the one that has received the contract for these banners. And so the people are paying for the banner, and then they're paying for the hardware that goes up that holds the banner in place. So there's no staff time charged in this cost. It's just strictly for the banners and for the hardware. And so this next year it's going to go up to $175. So I'd be happy at this time. That just kind of gives you a brief outline and why we're bringing this forward. Our next open period for the public begins December 1st, and people have 2 months to fill out the new application for this next go-around, and then we'll put those new banners up right before Memorial Day. Something else, this is the first year where they will remain up the whole year as opposed to coming down after Veterans Day. Again, due to one of the reasons is there's just so many to take up and down now. Taking them down also gives a false sense of that there's a lot of open poles, and so we think that leaving them up will help the public see. And then we just like to, first and foremost, just have them displayed all year. So that's something that the council thought was a good idea that we've discussed as well as a commission. So not getting onto the placement of the banners yet, but just on the policy itself, does anyone have any questions or comments or input on that?
Donnie, are you seeing, because just a thought popped in my head, you're saying the banners that are kind of deteriorating a little bit more, are those the ones that will face west and east because they're getting sun pretty much on them, rather than those that are, for example, in a north-south street?
Yes, they're the ones that are facing that direction, that is correct. Also, there's some that just happen to be placed more like by a tree that maybe receives some more shade, things like that. So even on Main Street here, you can see that there's some that are right across the street from each other, but say the ones on the west side of the street might be exposed and are faded, and the ones that have gone up the same year on the other side of the street might be next to a mature tree, and so it doesn't get nearly the sun as the ones on the opposite side of the street.
Just something to consider, usually, especially with red in the sun, that tends to really go real quick, so.
Right.
Or for future locations, looking at something that's a north-south street as opposed to west-east, but.
Okay. Anything else?
How long will they have to decide if they're gonna put up a new banner? Do they get like 2 months, 3 months?
That's a really good question, and that's something that we put in here, but that's up for discussion as well, because what that will do is we need to have a deadline, because if we don't, and we think that there's a banner comes down, we try to contact someone, which that's something else that's really specific in here, is that we can only say 5 years down the road, and it's impossible for some people to predict if they're going to have the same phone number or the same email address. But if we don't have a way to contact these people, say in 5 years from now, to let them know that their banner needs to come down because it's worn out, we're going to have to take that banner down and do our best to contact someone. But if we don't have any way, then that pole's going to become vacant, so someone else can get in that same spot. And that's another reason why we need to have a deadline, is so for people to let us know. We were thinking the logical time frame would be the same time that the public has to submit application for the new year. So between December 1 and February 1, that would be the same time people would have 2 months to decide if they wanted to have their banner go back up and pay for a new one. And if they do, we would submit all of those replacements with all the new ones to Axiom, because they prefer to have the same amount of time to produce all these and not just do them like single one at a time, because that increases the cost even more. And so we were recommending that would be the same time frame people would have to let us know. And if they don't tell us by February 1, then there's a chance that we're not going to be putting up, the new banners until right before Memorial Day, so towards the middle to the end of May. So realistically, there wouldn't be a banner go up in that vacant spot if someone didn't contact us until then, but they might not have a chance to have theirs reproduced in time. So just something to think about.
So would you send them a certified letter or just a phone call or whatever?
We could, yes, we could do any of those things, and we could add certified letter in here.
That way if they can, well, you never contacted me, look, got it right here, we sent you, you never responded, so.
We could definitely add that in. It doesn't specify. If you look under the process, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about the 7th bullet point under the process on that first page. It says city staff will contact the applicant to arrange for pickup from the Parks and Leisure Services office in Centennial Plaza within 2 months of the banner being taken down. So we can specify some more as far as, we left that pretty general as far as how we were going to contact them, but if we want to put, by email, phone, and certified mail, we could do something like that. Any other input? So everyone thought, for the most part, this looks okay. All right. I think what we'll do is trying to get my notes here. Let's, if we can go ahead and we'll get a recommendation, like a motion, I guess, to accept this policy. We'll kind of separate this from the banner locations. We'll do two different ones. So with the recommendations noted that will be added tonight, if we can get a motion and a second as far as the policy goes.
Can we get a motion for that?
Or you know what? I'm gonna, okay.
Second.
And then,
All in favor?
you know what, before you do the all in favor, I want to add one more thing. We'll have for discussion, we have the motion and the second. I should have spoken a little bit more on the ad hoc committee. Does anyone have any input on, number one, I guess, if that should be added, included in there? And then number two, is there any recommendations on who should make up that ad hoc committee? At all, any thoughts on that? I guess first, it says ad hoc committee in here, so. Yes, those are good questions. This really, I would see this as probably no more than once or twice, right around that early November timeframe, when they can assess the integrity of the banners is one of their main things. And then if they can also talk about the policy, if it needs to be updated at that time. Potentially it could be a once a year, if not maybe twice, twice within that 4-week or so period. As far as who was on it, we received some input when we initially got the kickoff of this whole program from the VFW. We contacted the Veterans Building and spoke at one of their meetings that they had, which they're very knowledgeable, obviously, so we like to get their input and have them help us, with the initial kickoff of the program. So
Would you consider putting one of them on the committee?
I think we could reach out. I think that would be a good idea if the commission thought that was a good idea. I definitely agree with that.
I know I watch them when I look around, when I drive around, I look at them and I give you a call when things are damaged or one's missing, or I found one on the ground and brought it to Donnie the next day.
Right, which we appreciate that too, for sure. And that's always welcome input by anyone that sees something like that. So if the commission, guess if they're for the ad hoc committee, that is fine. And if they want to, if the recommendation is to maybe reach out to the VFW, we can, okay, so we. Okay, so maybe like at least one commissioner and one VFW would be at least a start, and then possibly like one staff
There'd probably be
something.
more than one guy over there that'd be willing to come out and help,
Yes,
because it is a lot of veteran people.
yes.
Okay,
A lot of them are retired.
all right. Okay, well, we appreciate that further direction on that. So
Do we need a motion again?
with that, we can keep the same motion. We can just add that in to include that into it if there's no opposition.
No.
And then we'll just take a vote.
Okay. Can I get a vote? All in favor? Sorry, wrong words.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes.
All right, so then the second part of that is the locations of the banners. And you should have received in your agenda there was a map that gives you all the locations currently. And then that just gives you a pretty good overview of where they are right now. In the yellow, you can see some of our main streets within the city that still does not have banners on them, including Westfield, a portion of Henderson, the majority of Morton, Westwood. Those were just a few, and up until now, the city council, they wanted to finish a few of the main streets, and the last direction was to finish off Main and then head out Olive and get one direction out to Plano and then over to the bridge near Fallen Heroes Park, and then the other direction on Olive was to go out to the Veterans Building, which the banners have exceeded that. So that's where we are currently. And then we're hoping to get some input tonight as to where the commission recommends for the next batch or two of banners to go up, if anyone has any input on that.
Do we have any idea how many new banners might be coming in?
That's a good question, and it's always been the question, and every year it seems like it's gone up, and so we don't really know, honestly. We're going to promote it just like we always have, and we don't know if we don't anticipate the whole COVID-19 making it less popular. We think people they're going to start thinking about them more around this Veterans Day holiday. Is typically when we start getting a lot of calls and everything. And so we don't anticipate a drop-off like there's been a drop-off on a lot of other programs, but this one, we don't really expect that being an issue. But it's just hard to know. We're surprised every year. It keeps getting bigger and bigger, which we love, but we think one year we just have 241, and we're like, well, there's no way we can get more than that, and then potentially we could get more than that. We've gone from less than 100, a lot less than 100 in a year, to more than that, and then over 200 in a year, and so we're over 600 now, and so it's amazing. So to answer your question, we do not know how many we're going to have. We do know the yellow, we know how many poles that would cover on all those yellow there, which we're looking at, around 130, give or take, which you put 2 on a pole. So that's 260, if you count all of that yellow, which if we were going to take a rough guess, we would think that would cover 1 year at least, and probably a good portion of a second year. Maybe 2 years. I wouldn't think it would cover more than 2 years, but again, you never know. And it could not even cover 1 full year if this year is even more popular, but it's just really hard to know.
Why don't you make the circle, go north on Westwood to Henderson, finish that circle, and then do Morton,
Later.
from either Westwood or Main Street until it connects down. So it'd make it like a circle. And then once that's full, then you could do Morton.
And Newcomb.
Yeah.
Is there a recommendation from Parks and Leisure staff based on
What they want.
clear views of the poles that are out there now? I've been on all these streets, but to be honest, I can't really picture which street has clearer poles and a better view and such, but I have to imagine that Darren and his crew or whoever's been out there has been paying attention to that.
That's a really good question, and there are definitely some of the poles right now, there's less visibility to them, and that's something that we're really going to be looking at closer and closer going forward, where even if there's a pole there, if we think the visibility is not going to be adequate, we just X that pole out and take it out of the equation. So we definitely will do that prior to advertising to the public the availability of the poles. We'll take those out. So the only reason why you'll see some up right now that aren't as visible as others is literally because we were looking for available poles within the approved routes. So you'll see some, and then obviously trees grow every year, so some of the visibility of the banners, even from month 1 to month 12, will become a little bit less. And so parks, it's one of the things they do in addition to every once in a while having to go pick up a banner, whether they just get wind blown off of a pole, or every once in a while a big truck will take a corner too close, and some of these banner locations are a little bit closer to the street than others, and so some trucks have done damage to some of the banners themselves, so we have to replace those. And so you get a little bit of everything, but the parks will continually be trying to trim some of these trees back a little bit to get more of the visibility of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've noticed a lot of the guys out there that, some of them are real hard to see, and then the next time I'll drive by and, oh wow, they cleaned up around the trees so you can see them better or whatever, even just, I get around town, so.
It's the only probably catch to the whole program is we love to have these trees grow up, mature and provide a lot of shade, and they look great in the medians. But the downfall of that is it does take away some of the visibility on some of the banners. So we always try a balancing act on that. But we want everyone's banners to be equally visible, and we'll be, I'm sure, doing some more of that. This is the time of year when we have a little bit more time to do our trees, because we do a little bit less starting here now as far in the winter months go, as far as mowing and things like that. So we don't really have a dedicated tree crew, but we do in the winter time. These are the months where we'll go around and we'll trim some trees. So you'll see some of these trees that are blocking some of the banners a little bit more than others. Some of those will be getting trimmed here in the next couple months. Any input on, any more input on any streets that you think that would be good that aren't in the yellow that you can think of? Nothing.
Going downtown.
We haven't gotten that far yet where we need to utilize that.
Donnie, do you have any poles in front of the military academy on Pioneer Avenue?
Are there poles in front of the military academy? Is that what you're asking on that,
Correct.
on that street there?
Yes.
I think there are just a couple. I looked at that one time a while back. I anticipated that could be something, a great place for a few.
On Mulberry?
But I,
Is that what it's
we'll have to look at that a little closer. I don't know from these,
Yeah.
I guess a street view, we could probably drop down in there and see.
Yeah, and not with Vine Street going over there too, there might be some additional poles, I'm not sure, but I know that's, not an immediate concern, for the city, but just a thought, there might be a couple there.
Uh-huh.
Pioneer. Yeah, you're good. That's, yeah. I don't see.
We could maybe try to,
I know, I was thinking Mulberry, but it's not, it's Pioneer.
if we can't drop down in there, we'll go ahead and, we can take a look at that, if that's something that the commission wants to make a recommendation to as well, or include it in
About
these.
frontage,
Uh,
sure.
And to get back to the streets around Main Street on either side, just to the east and west, you're correct, Vice Chair Duncan, as far as we have spoken about those streets before, just as a natural tie-in possibly to the downtown area, just to go off of Main Street, maybe a little bit to the east and a little bit to the west. We have surveyed those to see how many poles. There's a significant amount on those streets, to answer your question. Especially on Second Street, there's a lot there. There's not as many as you would think on D Street,
Okay.
but there's a few between Olive and, say, before, I guess you get to Putnam, I want to say there was about 10, but then from Putnam to Morton, I want to say there's 4, if I remember right.
Second
th-
Street would definitely have more A, B, and C. They don't have much, but I'd stick with the main, Morton, Indiana, Henderson, and then the major north-south veins.
Okay.
Even Prospect.
Well, somewhere on Prospect, right? Yeah, that's where yours is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I'm at, but,
yeah.
but it's just that part of the,
Oh,
Of
it's
the
not all
park.
the way up and down.
it's not the
Okay,
whole street, it's just
Okay.
part of the park.
gotcha.
I'm right there all by myself. Me and my daughter, right there.
Any input, any other discussion on that? If not,
Do we need a
we can
motion?
entertain a motion, I guess, to
All right, may I get a motion on that? Are we good?
maybe specify if there's any particular order of these, or if the motion is just to first go off of these ones in yellow.
I liked
With looking
Kieran's
at-
idea of doing the
Doing the circle,
circle.
north on, Westwood.
Yeah,
Yeah, just make the circle and then do
Morton.
Morton.
I'm excited about it going down Morton, because I go down Morton a lot. I don't know if everybody else does, but I do that to avoid Henderson, yeah.
But just to finish, we'll do Westwood and then Henderson and then work on Morton from either Main Street down.
All right.
And
I'm assuming it's also based on how many new applicants we get?
ideally, what we'll do is, we'll take something to the council, which they'll be the ones that will adopt, whatever, and make the final determination. If it's something that could encompass more than 1 year, then we wouldn't have to come back to the commission and the council for a couple years. Again, we're not,
Too far ahead
Yes.
and not far enough.
right, yeah, ideally, we would, again, it's impossible to know how many applicants we're going to receive this go-around. But if it's something that we close it off February 1 and we do receive more than we think we have polls for that were recommended and approved, then we'll just come back, because we'll have until, mid-May to put them up. So we would have a little bit more time, but what happens is if we approve, say, 250 locations tonight, and, there's 100 applicants this year, then most likely we wouldn't initially come back to the council and the commission next year, because we will have already have 150 more available.
In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we accept this as proposed or highlighted as we're looking at it.
May I get a second? Or any further, nothing? Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Okay,
Thank you. All right, am I supposed to read that or just keep this? All right, number 2, Prop 68 per capita grant program.
All right, and funds for this program were appropriated by the state budget and are available for local park rehabilitation, creation, and improvement grants to local governments on a per capita basis. Grant recipients are encouraged to utilize awards to rehabilitate existing infrastructure and to address deficiencies in neighborhoods lacking access to the outdoors. The award amount for the city of Porterville was $177,952. Projects must be completed by February 2023. And projects that do not serve severely disadvantaged communities where the median household income is less than 60% of the statewide average, those must include 20% matching funds. Input will be solicited from the commission regarding these potential projects. So we brought this item back from our last meeting just to continue the discussion. There is some more time to decide the applications. Even though we were awarded, there still is the grant application, it still has to be submitted. Just as a formality, you cannot do a project unless you do submit your application. Those are due in December of next year, so there's still some time. But like I mentioned at our last meeting, as you all know, all these projects do take a while to complete. And so the sooner the commission makes a recommendation, which we will take to the city council and they approve it, then we don't need to wait until next December to submit the application. We will be able to submit it, and then upon their approval, which they say won't take very long, we'd be able to start the process of the project. And so that's why we're bringing it back tonight. So once again, if the commission will review some projects, potential projects tonight, receive input on any other ideas you may have, and then if you think that you're ready to make any particular recommendations tonight, you may do so. And if you feel that the need to carry on the item, possibly one more meeting, we can do that as well. So tonight, we do have a few items that we were going to just show as, again, these are just potential Prop 68 projects, and some of these, we went over some of these last time. You should be able to see on your screen. Those are the things that I mentioned. We talked about, this is, we'll see the first one here. So we talked about those things. So the first one is the sports complex field lighting. This is an overhead shot of the sports complex. I mentioned before that there's a little over $60,000 already that's allocated for replacement field lighting, sports field lighting. So we have a little bit of money to go on, and then one potential project would be to light some more of the grass out there to, just for this time of year right now, to let some soccer teams and football teams and things like that have some more lighted field turf. The nice thing about this, and the unique thing, the two things about this funding, like I mentioned, one of them, you can use this money anywhere in the city. It doesn't have to be, we pretty much qualify wherever we are to meet that standard where we don't have to have the matching funds. We're a pretty, what they consider an underserved community. And so some of the grants that we get, like the sports complex, there's no way that that would be in the discussion because the census tract out there isn't near what the census tracts are more within the the downtown area and some different other areas within the city. And the other thing is, because of that, we won't have to do any matching funds, but that does, give some potential funding to the sports complex, which is hard to get grant funds. The next slide, I think you saw it earlier. So this is a new one that we didn't bring up last time. I've been doing some research on this. A soccer field overseas, they call it a pitch. Over here, we call a pitch a fastball and a curveball and things like that. A baseball field, but this is a mini pitch, as the manufacturers call this. So it's pretty much just a arena soccer field, similar to what we do, a modified soccer field. We call it arena as well at the sports complex, but we put up these wooden 4x8 boards, and it doesn't look anything like this. This also comes with artificial turf. It comes with lights, and there's some other amenities that you can get. The soccer nets are these really thick pipes, and so you're not going to be cutting through nets. The walls are everything that is made for weather and for vandalism proof, as much as you can make a vandal proof something these days. So they've taken all that into consideration. So that's another possibility. Those, just to give you an idea, something like that would be right around probably $160,000 or so for one of those fields. So that's another idea. If we go on to the next one, this is another new one. This is called a pump track. So you can ride your skateboard, your scooters, bicycles, and it looks almost like an old little tiny race car matchbox track or something that you put together from your house back in the day, from the left picture. But the right one, you can kind of see what they look like. This is something, and that mini pitch, obviously the city doesn't have anything like either one of these two. These would be, again, under the sum of the $178,000 to put in something like this. Just another idea. I've seen a couple of cities put these up lately. I thought that was pretty unique. Next, those are the only two that are new ones. These other ones we've talked about last time. The sports complex, this would just be lighting we put in a perimeter trail. We've already put in some DG path out there a little bit. So we'd be putting in more of a permanent trail around the perimeter and putting lights in. So we talked about this last time. Next slide, we talked about possibly artificial turf across the street here from City Hall at Centennial Park. Another project would be a large pavilion, one that we don't have one of this type size before. You see these more like out at Bartlett Park would be a good example. The ones that could seat 70 to 100 people or more. And we've spoken before about different people and commissioners and public have talked about how it'd be neat to have a band shell, a dedicated little amphitheater for music. Since Porterville's so big into music, that would be a great enhancement to the community too. That left picture is Murray Park. And that's down the hill from the swimming pool. So it has that natural amphitheater type feel to it. There's already that existing picnic shelter there, which you can barely see on the blue top. So the band shell on the right is just an example of what one could look like. And the next slide, we talked about potentially the heavily used trail at Zalad Park is just dirt right now. Uneven, and so to put in a nicer trail at Zalad Park in that red area, that's where the existing trail is. And the next slide would be to put in some additional lighting at Murray Park, which currently doesn't have hardly any lighting, and it's extremely dark out there at night. So obviously for safety reasons, and that would draw more people to that park if it was better lit. So those are just some examples of some potential projects that would fit within that price range. And looking for any more ideas tonight, or if there's any priority on any of those.
I just
or-
have a question. Has anybody from the public said, hey, we'd really like this? Has there been any council feedback? Any, you know?
That's a good question. We haven't really gone out, we haven't gone to the council yet because we've taken it to the commission or waiting for the commission's recommendation. And the council hasn't really been, it's public knowledge that we've received this grant award, but I don't, to my knowledge, believe there's been anything yet in the paper or even on our website. So that's something that we can promote. So I don't think, to answer your question, that the public's really aware of this amount of money yet.
I just didn't know if somebody had really piped up about lighting at the sports complex or really pushed for anything like that, or.
Anything in particular? And we've having those public meetings for the other Prop 68, the competitive grant part of it. That's the application that we're working on right now, that we're going to be submitting. And so that's a separate Prop 68 grant, and we're required to do public input meetings. And so we've been getting good feedback from the community on what they would like to see as far as on an outside of a wide open piece of property for recreation features go, and then on an inside, like say for a recreation center, what types of features would they like to see inside? And so some of that overlaps to this, as far as we've been getting a lot of input on, we need soccer fields, or we need more lighting, or things like that. So some of it does overlap. A lot of these things have been mentioned in the past, whether they be from commissioners, commission meetings in the past, or even the public. So I think the only two things on that list that, well, I take that back, because even that mini pitch has been mentioned recently by a local soccer group, that they think that that would be such a nice thing to have in the city. And the pump tracks, I'm sure if you talk to skaters or bicyclists, they're up on that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And if they caught wind of something like that, they would, I'm sure, give thumbs up for that, so.
Donnie, roughly, what is the approximate cost for both the Murray Park lighting and the trail at Zaled Park?
A rough estimate for, we would do solar lights these days, like at Murray Park. And the ones, to give you an idea, the ones that you see within Veterans Park were around $60,000 per light. You saw way more than that. Would be what, three light poles at that rate to fit within the $178,000. You probably saw about 16 or so little red dots on that map that we showed. So 3 wouldn't get, I mean, that would be better than what we have right now. It wouldn't get too far for lights go to do a lot of them at Murray Park to satisfy the amount of light that we need out there. We're talking, golly, I'd probably say 400,000 to 500,000 for ample lighting at Murray Park. And then what was your other question? I'm sorry, was it Zaled on the, or
Zaled Park,
on just lighting, or that trail, or both?
on the trail.
On the trail, trying to think, comparing that to the project that we did at Zaled, or at Veterans Park on the concrete trail there. Trying to tap into my old memory bank here to see on that project. I have stuck in my head, I don't know if Darren would remember, but I want to say that project was around 400,000 for that amount of trail, and I think that included the light. So given that distance there and the length of, the Zalad Trail would be larger than that, so I would roughly say you're talking and there's different surfaces. There's cheaper than the concrete. The concrete obviously lasts the longest and doesn't crack like the asphalt, things like that. So, but I would say to redo that whole trail at Zalad Park, I would say 750,000 would be a guess.
I mean, just with my 2 cents on this, it seems like, you know, you have only 177,000, which obviously for someone, it's not going to fulfill the entire thing. I think as a commission, we figure out that, you know, you're trying to maximize as much money as you can to try and fill as many different needs around the city. You know, the hard part about, you know, doing a mini pitch is going to have to be in a place that has the lighting. So, I mean, that's half the battle right there about where in the city are you going to put it, where you maximize that. Or is this a situation where, okay, could there potentially be something that comes down the road, whether through the city or another grant program, where this is like one piece of the puzzle, and then you do it based on, at least you have the infrastructure of that, and then maybe in a year or 2 or 3 years, you can complete the project.
I'm not sure if I mentioned or made myself clear. On the mini pitch, that 160,000 or so, it does include lights, like four lights, like enough to light the field itself. It wouldn't light any of the perimeter, but it would shine on the field. So it does come with lighting. One of the things about...
Because I always kind of think of ourselves, because of our climate, similar to like Las Vegas or a Phoenix, you know, to have maximum, you know, like what they do. They have softball fields going on at midnight just because that's the only time it's cool enough out there. So there's a lot of potential to have that be maximized, you know, all throughout the evening, especially during the summer. It's just a matter of figuring out what location, where you're going to put it at. So.
Right. Parking's a big thing too.
Yeah.
That's something that's super costly, and you're never going to put something in, like say, at our current site on 4th Street, where we're our proposed project site for our grant application, you know, there's no parking out there yet. That would be part of the grant if we were to receive it. A parking lot is included in that project, but you couldn't just plop down this mini pitch, you know, out there right now on that undeveloped property without parking. So
You may want to show.
that decreases, you know, a lot of places where you could potentially put that. So you'd have to look at the current locations where, again, the sports complex has parking. Depending on, this is all dependent on the commission's recommendation and then city council, obviously, but there is some parking over at the Heritage Center site that the city still owns, that undeveloped property there. For now, they do own that. And there was a parking lot put in there a long time ago for potential softball or baseball fields that the school uses during their events right now. They spill over parking into that parking lot. But that could be it does have a parking lot there that probably would be adequate enough for a mini pitch, I would think, because it was built for potential softball or baseball fields. So, any other input on any projects or?
Hey, Donnie, you talked about lighting out at the sports complex. I know you told us last time how many fields do you plan on lighting up if it was to be out there?
Yeah, that's a good question. We estimate with like this 180,000 plus the 60,000 or so that's already in an account for out there. You're looking at, you know, if you just use that money alone, that's 240,000. We've estimated that from the ditch, when you first drive in straight ahead, and you can see it on your screen there, there's, when you first drive into the sports complex, you'll see a little dirt-looking straight line that goes from the parking lot straight out. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that little cursor there. She's highlighting it. So from that area over to the snack bar, we think we could get that turf right there lit adequately enough to have some good practice field for that amount of money.
You would have that lit out there, the softball fields and the football fields, potentially.
Correct, yes. And like I mentioned last time, when the softball field lights went in, as part of that project, conduit was put in for that shaded area right there that we're talking about, and even some more perimeter to the south lighting. So that will save on the cost. We were thinking ahead on that, hoping that someday we were probably going to eventually light some more of that turf out there. So some of the infrastructure is already in. It's hard because you would love to just say, we'll take A through Z, and there's such a great need for, there's nothing on this list I don't feel that the city doesn't have a great need for. Every single one of them would just be a huge benefit and enjoyed by the community, and I think all of them would be enjoyed by the young all the way up to senior citizens, whether they be using these things or watching their kids or grandkids use something. But yeah, even the mini pitch field, I mean, it's a lighted artificial turf field, so if you want to be creative, they even make them with where you could put a string of volleyball net across it. You could have it striped for multiple sports. You could even have like aerobics classes. It's ADA accessible, so if you wanted to have an ADA aerobics class out there for seniors, on that mini pitch, you could even do that. So something like that is even, potentially could be used by all ages.
So Donnie, were you looking for a recommendation tonight, or just, this is just discussion, or what do you need from us?
A recommendation, and like I said, it doesn't have to be tonight, but just eventually here, I would hope within this meeting or even the next one, if the commission had any definite priority where they could come to an agreement on a priority of these, or in the past, sometimes the commission has just said, we'll leave it up to the staff. I mean, the commission hasn't objected to any of these, and so they're okay with any of them. And so just to take it to the council like that, like these are the commission's overall recommendations. But if there's any that the commission doesn't recommend, we would just take those off of the presentation. If there's more that comes across their mind, we'd be happy to add those to it. If there's one that just jumps out that the commission says, yeah, we need this one, then I would lead my staff report to the council by saying, this is the one that they rank the highest. But I know it's a pretty tall task to rank these.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with, all of you, if you might have 7 different opinions as far as which one you like the best.
Yeah.
Or we could try to do some poll and get some sort of ranking like at our next meeting if you really wanted to go down that road. It's up to you.
What do you want to do? What do you think?
I think the list presented, as well as the options online that we're looking at, they're adequate for me to go with.
So do you think we should allow staff to decide? And
I'm perfectly comfortable with that,
okay.
personally.
So do we need a motion?
Yeah, we're just looking for a motion and a second, and if there's any further discussion, if there's any motion. I'm not sure if you guys could hear.
Could you hear Philip? He mentioned that he's comfortable with staff deciding. So if everybody's okay with that, can I get a motion for that? If not, we can come back. It's up to you guys. What do you guys think? Jason, I can see you're thinking.
Well, I was just thinking at some point as a commission, we're all going to have to make that decision of moving forward rather than just rubber stamping what the staff is going to come up with. Not that they're going to do it. I kind of like Jason's idea in I'm thinking down the road because there are so many projects that could be great. The mini pitch could actually be part of the sports complex. But you have such a great piece of property out there. We know what's coming to that area in the next couple of years, so there's gonna be a lot more traffic coming out there. And why not maximize the property that you already have, probably the best parking that you have available, you know, rather than trying to squeeze into other spots that, you know, street parking or parking in neighborhoods, which, you know, I know neighbors don't really like, but you've got a piece of property out there that I really think if you get more lighting out there, it's just a natural magnet for everybody in the city. And, you know, I understand, I do get it. I understand some people, I've gone to enough city council meetings where I've heard, you know, there's no transportation out there. It's really hard to get out there. Me growing up in Orange County, I'm like, if I was a couple miles away, that would be fine with that, when normally everything's 20 miles. But, you know, as the city made the effort to create that complex. I think anytime that you can continue to add to it and really make it a first rate, you know, because you just want places at night that people can feel safe to practice, regardless whether it's football, soccer, softball, baseball. And I think being able to have more lighting out there rather than just restricting it to one field, I think would benefit the entire community.
Awesome. And I love the idea that, of what Donnie had said, that they've already got stuff going on out there as far as the wiring and things. So I agree.
Well, the staff would kind of put together an idea, like, this bit is idea, you know, let's put this one aside. Let's go with the lighting in the sports complex and over here, and then come to us, wouldn't they? Or you just,
I'm sorry, what, as
like
far
the
as,
staff, if you guys got together and said, okay, these are the two ideas we want to go with, you'd come to us and let us know, hey, this is what we want to go for with that money, or whatever, whether it be the walkway, the little pump, whatever
Right.
track, or.
right. We could do that. I mean, we're kind of starting that discussion now. And so if, I mean, one thing could be if, you know, if someone made a motion, you know, if the majority was to maybe put at the top of this list, I mean, the staff recommendation to council could be something like, the commission's, you know, first preference, they think that the lighting of the sports complex, you know, makes the most sense or something like that. That's their number one.
Followed
They're
by
not
staff.
objective to, you know, the other ones, but that's their lead one. If that's the flavor, that could be a motion. I could word it that way.
Yeah.
It's up to the commission, really. It's their recommendation.
I think that'd be the better way to do it, you know, put like the wish list, rank them. I mean, it'd be awesome if we got a couple of $1 million to do it all, but that won't ever happen. But put like a wish list of ranked, and then the commission could get, you know, put their input on the end of it or whatever, if that's
Yeah, get a
something
motion.
possible.
Do you want to motion that?
Want to make a motion for that, or?
We could, if that's something that, so the commission, you think that to maybe have the commission physically rank the projects and just to
No,
see, or?
well, like have your staff put together like what they rank it in an order that they want, like the lights and then the arena soccer thing and then just the
Or
commission.
could we say lights are number one, and then if there's extra
Yeah.
funding, go along with staff's recommendation? Would that be okay, or what do you think? Philip?
I think you could put a list out of all the projects given to all the commission members, and you simply tabulate a point system. So your number one gets the most points and rank them that way, and just compile it in, and then you take the top three. These are going to, you know, to the council. Here's the staff and commission. These are the top three projects that we believe that we'd give priority to.
Are we good with that, Donnie, on a timeline, though? I mean, does this need to be expedited, or are we okay?
That will be fine. We'll do
Okay.
that at our next meeting.
think you
We've done
could-
something similar before when we've had multiple things to decide, when we're talking about even like the CDBG projects, which we're going to talk about in a second. So, yeah, we can do that. We'll present that at our
It'd be a
next,
pain, though. Can you put money amounts with each project? I'm sorry.
dollar amounts for the
Yes,
projects?
dollar amount, sorry.
Yes, so we can include that in the, so the next staff agenda in the packet, we'll put the projects again.
Okay.
And then between now and then, if there's any more that the commission, or even that night, if they would like to put any more in last minute before they make their votes. And then between now and then, it gives you a couple more months to really think about these one more time, and then just kind of keep in mind that you'll be ranking these.
Okay.
And then we'll just take those, we'll say, this one was first, this one was second. These are like our top 3 from the commission, and we'll take that to the council. So that sounds good.
Okay,
We'll
thank
do
you.
that.
So do we need a motion then on that?
We can just carry that basically on to the next meeting. So if everyone's good with that, we can just go ahead and carry it on.
Okay.
Sure.
Sounds great. All right, CDBG Park Improvements Project.
All right. So the Parks and Leisure Services has once again received an allocation of Community Development Block Grant Park Improvement Funds. The funds may be expended during the current fiscal year in grant-specific locations, which are within certain census tracts of the city. The parks that fall within that this go-around are going to be Murray, Zalad, and Fallen Heroes Park. The dollar amount is estimated to be around $95,000. And so tonight we were going to talk about a few potential projects. These, like I said, are different from the last projects that we just talked about in the fact that they have to be done at these certain locations, either Zalad, Murray, or Fallen Heroes Park now is one of them as well. We've talked about some of these before in different, maybe for different funding possibilities. This one just gives a couple examples of a senior type fitness equipment, which would be for outdoors. We currently do not have any outdoor senior specific fitness equipment. There's some already at Fallen Heroes Park, which seniors can use, but a couple of these new things are coming out, and these are just a picture of 2 of them. There's a lot of them out there for seniors. And we did at one of our public input meetings for our Prop 68 competitive grant, a senior citizen showed up and was expressing that she would like to see some senior fitness equipment. So I thought that was interesting that she did say that. Next thing that we're going to move on to, this is just some more cardio type equipment that could be used for adults or seniors. The next slide, concrete cornhole. We put in the concrete ping pong table at Zalad Park with the same funding last year. So this could be something that could complement potentially that, or put these in at any park that we've mentioned. Next thing are some small pavilions, which we recently, with the same money, put in 2 at Zalad Park. Next thing would be some fitness equipment for more geared like for adults, but seniors and kids could use them as well. But these are just some examples of some outdoor fitness equipment. And this is called a challenge course. So what this is like an obstacle course that they really say ages 13 up to adult, which younger kids could play on them too, but this is one of the new fitness type crazes that's out there. And if you see on the far left, those 2 little green individual poles that are sticking up, that's actually a start and a stop button. So those can sync to like your phone, and there's an app that you can download, and you can time yourself going through these things and make it a competition. So if you can picture yourself like weaving around like figure 8s through those first things that are black that are sticking up there, and then there's like a netting thing that you kind of climb through. All these are like over or under or through, or there's some moving steps. It's like if you see the Ninja TV show, yeah, that type of thing. So that's what a challenge course is. The next slide would be some pieces of playground equipment. We've talked about like a spinning carousel before, something that's coming back in parks now that we don't have in any of our parks. And I think that might be our last slide. That's our last slide. So I included some of the prices in your agenda packet. The one that was in there that I skipped over tonight was the Murray Park Pool, the aqua boards. That's something that if you can picture like a fitness mat that's floating in the pool, they do fitness classes on these boards. And that's something that is still in question as to whether this particular funding would cover something like that. I've seen them, and a couple of cities are doing these aqua board classes now, fitness classes in the pool. I personally was very intrigued with them. I thought it would be something very, very unique and super popular. The downfall is that our pool's only open from Memorial Day to Labor Day, so it wouldn't be a 12-month-a-year use. But that was something else that I initially included in this list, but I took off for now because it doesn't appear that it'll probably fall within this funding source. But you'll see some of the price tags in your agenda packet of those things that I listed, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Similar to the other, I was just looking for a recommendation tonight on potential projects. Let's see, I'm trying to think on the timing. This one, our next meeting will be in 3 months, which would be early February, which wouldn't be too late. So I guess we again could do something similar. If you wanted to rank these, we could do that same thing to be consistent. If you think that'd be the easiest way to come up with a ranking of these, if you wanted to do that, or if you just felt something else, just let me know. Or if you wanted to add something to it. These are just a few ideas. There's a million different ideas out there.
Can you talk about the durability of the equipment, it's outdoor equipment, right, the fitness?
It is, and they really make them now. They know that these things are made to just get beat up and unfortunately used like they're not supposed to be used and things like that. So they're very hard to destruct and vandalize, but we found that nothing is, indestructible. So we've had not too much vandalism and out of service equipment out at Fallen Heroes for the equipment, a little bit. That's been up for since November of 2014. So we're looking at about 6 years, I guess, that park's been open now.
Okay.
I think we've had a little bit here and there on that, but for the most part, that particular manufacturer has done a good job. There's been a little bit, but they're built to definitely be outside in the rain and everything else too.
Okay. All right.
Well, I know I see those over at Zalad Park, the small picnic pavilions. I see those are used a lot. It'd be nice to get a couple of those, and then I think go back and get the senior fitness equipment and the fitness equipment at Zalad Park. You're really maximizing it. For me, the challenge course, it's a great idea. To me, that almost seems like more of a luxury. You definitely want to help senior citizens out, emphasize fitness, that sort of thing. And it seems like for $95,000, you can get a lot of projects done. You might even be able to have enough left over for the cornhole sets too.
Or the merry-go-round. All right. Oh. A Zoom
That's okay.
poll?
We'll just see what other input. Is there any
Okay.
other?
Any thoughts, guys? Any thoughts? See, and I was going with the senior fitness equipment just because if we've had feedback and a want for that, I think that's important. We have so much for kids, I think, that it's good to take care of our seniors too. So,
And the reason I said that is because we've been in it for so long, and I see it a lot of times with golf. When hopefully soon we get over all this COVID, I think you're going to see the parks, everybody just using them. Like, I don't care if it's 9 o'clock at night. I think people are just going to be ready to just go out and do things.
absolutely.
For sure.
So should we go ahead and do a ranking like we were going to for the other one? What do we think, guys? Yeah? Agreed. All right. Do you need a motion on that?
We could just, so you want to bring this item back next time and just have people rank them?
Is that okay? Is that enough time for you? You said.
It will be, yeah, we'll have to make it at our next meeting. That would be
Okay.
one for sure on that one.
Okay,
But we would have time, so if that's what you wanted to do, we could just carry it forward. We don't need a motion to carry it forward if
okay.
that's what we'll do. Okay.
All right. The Philip's asking if it's acceptable to do that through email.
No, we'll go ahead and do it. That's a good question. Yeah, we'll do it here.
Okay.
Yes. That'll be good.
All right. Number 4, Burton Ballfields renewal agreement.
All right. There is a 25-year agreement between the city and the Burton School District regarding the 2 ball fields that I'm sure you've all have seen over Burton Elementary School near the corner of Morton and Westwood. And that agreement recently expired. And this is an overhead shot of those 2 fields. And when the agreement initially took place, the city put those fields in, and the school district and the city's agreement was the school would have access to the fields during the day, and then the city would program the fields in the evening time, similar to an agreement that was verbally made between PUSD and the city with the Santa Fe Elementary School multipurpose room. The school uses it during the day, and then the city gets to use that multipurpose room gymnasium after the YES program is out of there. So when this was first constructed and up to about the last, I want to say maybe 4 or so years ago, there was temporary home run fencing. And so a long time ago, when the Little League season was over, come June or July, when the All-Stars were done, there would start being more use out there for flag football season would roll around, and there used to be some flag football games that would take place where the equivalent of the outfield grass is on those 2 fields. Those fields do have lights, and so there would be, it's one of the few fields that does have lights, and so it was turned more into multi-purpose when Little League was over. And Little League was never on this agreement, so the city, when the city got to program the fields, Little League was a natural fit to use these fields, and so Little League would always pay to reserve the fields during their season, and they would do the upkeep of the fields during their season and the infields, and the Burton School District would and still does mow the outfield grass. And when the permanent fencing, Little League put in permanent fencing about, I think it was about 5 years ago, give or take. Once that went up, that really turned those into exclusive use baseball fields for the Little League, more or less, because you put a fence out there and it cuts into that open space a lot, so it doesn't give you enough good, clean, open space to put in flag football fields, or makes it difficult to have soccer practices or things like that. So for these 25 years, I would say the last, 15 of them, really Little League's been the only ones that have used those 2 fields. The school still uses outside of the permanent fencing during their PE when their school's in session. So they do use, especially the north field, that grass in there, but they also use the south field as well. Not on the Little League fields themselves, but on the grass on the outside. So they still use their part. And so just bringing this item tonight, just to make you aware that the city and Burton School District is going to be in discussion here before too long regarding a new agreement, and we'll take that to the city council, who will be the designated signature on the city's part of a new agreement with the school district. And didn't know if the commission had any input on this future agreement or not. to include in a staff report, and the city council may ask if the commission had any input on this item.
All right,
And if,
go
yeah,
ahead.
and if not, I was just gonna say, we could just, the commission could entertain a motion tonight just to have staff proceed with an agreement with the school district. So, but I just didn't know if there was.
I'll go ahead and make a motion for the city of Porterville to negotiate with the Burton School District on the renewal agreement for those 2 fields.
All right, may I get a second?
Second.
Okay, awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, Parks Maintenance Report, number 5. I know, is he awake?
Mute my mic on here.
I gotta tease him a little bit here.
Okay, I'm gonna have to have Amy run the slides for me here in my office. All right, this is the, over at Zala Park, they're redoing our restrooms at Zala Park and at Veterans Park. If you notice, there's chain link fences around them. They've ripped out all the old stuff. Go ahead and go to the next one, Amy. And this is kind of they're not quite done with, this one's at Veterans. They're not quite done with it, but it's all stainless steel now. And they've repainted them, put LED lighting in. They look really, really nice compared to what they were and stuff. But they're gonna look really good when they get done. Okay, the next one, Amy. This is the Henry Street property. We've actually got, with CSET finally, and they've actually done a little bit of cleanup on this one. They've hauled probably about 10, 15 loads of trash out of this place.
Oh,
And they're getting ready, we're waiting for them to come in to dredge the pond, clean the island. Basically, everything from the island to the east is what they have enough money. I think it was like 174,000, I believe, or something, to redo all this area right here. Okay, the next one. This is the pool, what Donnie was talking about with the company that put up the shade structure. They've actually got the one in front of the pool put up, and they ran into a little bit of problems there. But if you notice on the pool side, this is all rock bed underneath here. It's all solid rock, and we're having a hard time getting through this rock. So that's what we're having problems with right now. Once we get this figured out, we'll have a shade structure here too to go back up. And then they'll lay the carpet back down and everything.
that'll be nice.
This is Henderson Island. We're finally getting started on landscaping from Prospect to Newcomb on Henderson. This is the first one that they've actually got going on us. Donnie actually gave us a couple of leisure service workers that have really helped us out a lot on this one and stuff. So we're hoping within the next couple of weeks, we'll probably have all 3 of these islands done. We'll see how money goes on it, because the rock we put in here is very expensive and stuff. Okay, the next one. And we're getting ready for Christmas lights. Like Donnie said, we got new Christmas decorations going across the road. The old ones we have, they're all broke and they won't stay up and stuff. So we got new ones to come in. I actually got a hold of the company. I emailed them to see when the lights are going to be in so I can start scheduling this, and I haven't heard back from them yet, so I'm probably going to have to call them or something. But at least we're ahead of the game on the lights. We got the lights on the trees and stuff. We just got to get the overhangs up right after Veterans Day before the lighting ceremony. And I believe this was the last one.
Thank you, Darren. I've been watching your guys work out on Henderson. It looks really nice out there. They're doing a great job. And I'm
Thank you.
excited about the shade.
They just started
at the
that
pool.
a couple days ago, I think.
Yes. It looks good. All right, can we get a leisure services report, please?
I'm gonna have to do a test on the microphone. Can the people on Zoom hear me? Yes, all right. You won't be able to see me, but I will be sharing my screen with you, so you'll see my presentation. All right. So I'm a little delayed here. Oh, that's okay. Since I last saw you guys, we finished up our cross-country season. I know we had just kind of mentioned that we started that up. We had a final little track meet or cross-country meet, in August, at the end of August or September. And this was the finale, and we had the kids spread out and run, and it was a really great way to end the season and also just get kids out moving a little bit. So if you saw that in the paper, we hadn't seen you since we finished that, so I just wanted to bring that up. We've also started a few new programs, so I know we're a little bit limited as far as our in-person activities, so we're just trying to be creative and try new things, and the community has really been responding well and being patient with us as we try new things. And so our first thing that we threw out there was virtual bingo. We started it, I believe this will be our third Friday that we're doing it. We do it every Friday. We have it planned at least until Thanksgiving. We'll see how it goes. We'll keep it going if it's popular. The first week we had about 60 people registered. The second week we had 80, and then we're slowly climbing. So it's been a fun activity for us to try virtual bingo. We also had a virtual pumpkin carving contest. Not a huge response on that one, but we will maybe work on it for next year. And it doesn't take too much effort on our end to have people submit photos of their their carved or painted pumpkins, and we do some voting, and then we award prizes. So that one was another one that we introduced this year. We also introduced the Halloween home decorating contest, which we had 16 entries from literally the farthest end of, the west side of Porterville to the east side of Porterville, so it was a good spread in there. I really appreciate Commissioners Garola and Duncan helping us do the judging for that, which was very difficult. We had both the judges go around to all the different homes and judge them in person. Then we also had all the pictures of the homes, which were submitted by the participants. We had them on our Facebook, so you could either win the judges' first, second, or third, or you could win the People's Choice Award. And we also made that map available to the public, and it was really cool to actually be out there judging and be running into people who were using our map to go and look at the homes. I talked to several people the next day that we announced them, and they had already, gone out and seen the home. So it was a nice thing that we had this year, and I'm really happy with the turnout. And as we discussed with the judges, I don't know if we could have judged any more that night. we had just about 2 hours, and even that was stretching it. So if we had any more this year, we might have ran out of time. So we'll get a better game plan if we get more entries next year. But we hope that it'll continue, and maybe we'll do at least for now, we're planning to do a Christmas home decorating contest, just because we had a pretty good response with this one. We're going to try it again for Christmas, so be on the lookout for us to ask for help judging that one again. Another thing I think we tossed around, we haven't completely settled on it, was maybe doing some type of drive-through Santa event or anything that might encourage some holiday cheer, even if we have to do it kind of from afar. We're going to try it out. So if you guys see anything in other communities, we're open to ideas. Like I said, we're kind of hit and miss as far as what we do. We're trying anything new, and I think the public's response has been like, thanks for doing anything at all. So we're willing to try just about anything as long as it is safe during COVID time. And that brings us to our Veterans Day Run and Walk, which is completely virtual this year. We have had momentum building this event over the past couple years. We were steadily increasing. We were over 500 last year in this activity. So we didn't want to let it go completely. So there has been some virtual runs, not only, in our area, but a lot of them throughout probably the world, but at least the country. So we're going to give it a go. What happens is people register, then they get their, all the swag that we would have given out before, like the t-shirt. They get a medal if they win, but what they do is they submit the times on their own. So you're going to go out and walk between November 1st and November 11th. You're going to do that 5K or 10K walk or run, and then you submit your time to us through this app that we've kind of worked with, and that's how we're going to rank people. And the biggest thing is just getting people out and doing something good for their minds and bodies. And we'll try to help encourage it from the background by putting on an event like this. Another idea we kind of threw around for the future was kind of keeping the momentum of the Veterans Day run, was maybe starting the year off with like some virtual fitness clubs, like maybe we've seen other places do, like, you know, you join the club and you commit to walking so many miles in the month, and you kind of keep the leaderboards going and maybe earn virtual prizes for anything that you do. So we're looking into stuff like that. I wasn't sure if I'd see you before we started that, so I just wanted to throw that out, that we're looking into future ideas to keep people motivated and healthy. And that's all I have.
Awesome, thank you. And I have to say, virtual bingo was fun. I actually won, so I was excited. And Philip had a good time judging the houses. He was pushing me to go, so. All right, scheduled items for future meetings?
All right, we'll definitely bring back the Prop 68, the non-competitive grant, and the CDBG Park Improvement Project. So we'll bring both of those back, and then I'm not sure what else, but only meeting quarterly, there'll definitely be some more items on there for sure.
All right. Any other matters of information?
The only thing I was going to mention was that the competitive Prop 68, the deadline, they extended it 3 months. And so it's now, instead of being due December 14th, it's due March the 12th. So it gives us 3 more months to fine tune our grant application, which we're working on quite a bit these days. And so that's the big one. We're all fingers crossed on that one, that we can come out ahead of all the masses that are going to be applying, and we'd have a nice new recreation center and a lot of nice amenities on the outside. We've been getting a lot of public comments, some really good input that we're going to incorporate into the grant as far as what people want. So appreciate the help that Commissioner Pommier helped out through PUSD as far as getting a survey out for us for that grant. So that was a big help as well. So
Great, that's awesome.
yeah, that's all I have, other than just we're gonna, as of now at least, the commissions are still gonna be meeting quarterly. So like I said, February 4th would be our next one. If there's things that do come up that we have to meet on, then it'll be okay to meet, obviously. But as of now, we're just scheduling them 3 months until further notice, just during this COVID time.
Okay.
So,
Awesome, thank you. All right, so meeting adjourned at 7:22?
right.
Yes, there you go. It's okay. All right.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, guys.